welcome back to the channel. It's a casual day here in the sewing room, so I thought I'd come in and chat a little bit about inspiration versus motivation versus execution, and what so far, now that the first quarter of 2024 is over with, what a pattern no buy has been teaching me. But first I need to clean my serger. So typically I take my, well, not typically, usually every couple years. I think I've had my serger service. I forget how long I've had my serger. It's one of my most popular videos on my channel. I've had to have it a good maybe 9-10 years, I don't know, something like that. Anyway, it's the Brother 1034d. I've had it serviced before, but lately I have, and you all have to let me know if you've had this issue, I've been having problems with my fabric. Specifically, it happens to woven, but it does happen to knit more often, I'm sure, because it's knit. But it started raveling around the knife and getting bunched up, and then I've been noticing some needle breaking. And so one time when my good friend Myra and I were chatting, someone in chatting, I was telling her I was so frustrated, and so she was like, have you ever changed the knife on your serger? And I was like, no. And it's probably been 3 years, quite honestly, since I've had it serviced since. And yeah, never had the knife changed. So I went ahead and ordered the knife off of Amazon. That's what it looks like. And what I am going to do, because there was a couple things I wanted to do, I had plans to actually deep clean the machine the best I can, but since I'm doing this whole changing the knife out, I will do that here and show you kind of how dirty my machine is, because I know it's pretty dirty. It is pretty dirty. I got all my tools. I got me some Clorox wipes. I have these are some dryer sheets that have been used already, but I always wipe my machine down, any of my machines down with this, because obviously it's, you know, it attracts lint and you know, static and all that different type of stuff. So it's really good for a quick wipe down. But let me show you what this machine is looking like before I unplug it and start going at it. So I left the light on just in case you can't see, but yeah, this is what she's looking like right now. And so let me open her up. She is quite dirty, so I am going to start cleaning her. And I've already watched the video for how to take everything apart and put it back together. So yeah, she is quite dirty on the inside, and I am ready to dive in. I need actually my screwdriver, which is over here, and so I can switch that out and get everything taken care of. So what I will do is probably fast forward this part and do a voiceover, and then I will also link in the description box to both of these videos. Both of these videos are really old, like several years old, but they're so good. So why not just not recreate the wheel, but just watch, you know, what they said. And the one thing I will say, let me unplug this before I forget. Okay, so one of the things, let me see if you can, let me kind of pan you down. So one of the things with taking these screws and stuff off, she did it in the lady in the video did it in a certain order. So I'm gonna do that order, and I'm gonna I'm gonna label it. I'm gonna have some, you probably won't be able to see it here, which you don't need to see, but just so you know, I will be labeling what screw I took out first, second, third, because I think it's only 4 screws for taking off this cover to clean. And then I also have I think I have all this stuff linked in my Amazon store. I also have this little handy duty little thing, and we're gonna see how bad it is. I don't know, but yeah, I will probably go ahead and fast forward this part, but I am going to jump right in.
So in today's video, we will be talking about inspiration versus motivation versus execution. So sit back and kind of think about, okay, what inspires you? What motivates you? And then what moves you to execution? Actually taking time to do the thing.
So, and then there you can see which one goes where. So the one in the handle is a little shorter. This one is longer. And then this one down here is actually shorter again.
According to Google, inspiration is defined as the process of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something, especially to do something creative. Does that explain you in any way? Describes you in any way? Definitely have a think.
Okay, so I got it off. I had to tilt it because my screwdrivers aren't magnetic, so I had to kind of tilt my machine to get the screws to come off. But let's see how this is looking. I guess I should she did show that. Take that off first. Yeah, I'm getting ready to get all up in there. And so this is how she's looking. I guess not as horrible as I thought, but it is dirty. She's dirty, 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 dirty. So I am going to go ahead on and get to vacuuming. I'm actually going to get my house vacuum put it in that handheld mode to see I can probably get up in there and stuff. Look it back up in there. Wipe down real good. So, okay. Let's see how this goes.
Google also describes motivation. Motivation is the reason or reasons one has for acting or behaving in a particular way, or general desire or willingness of someone to do something. So think about that. Are you motivated? Further, when we think about execution, Google has a definition that says the carrying out or putting into effect of a plan, order, or course of action. So now this video, we will be talking about different courses of action we have taken in our sewing journey. Maybe we are stuck in the inspiration stage. Maybe we are stuck in the motivation stage. We started buying all of the things. We started collecting the items, and we're ready, or at least we think we do. We're ready now to get in there and get going. But something is still holding us back. What could that be? It's different for everybody, but definitely take a think.
Okay, look at that. I will tell you what is your friend is definitely, besides if you have some kind of vacuum thingy like that, but to get the little particles, but truly the MVP is Q-tips, cotton swabs, whatever you want to call them, and also your fabric sheets. Because what I was doing, if you saw, I was wrapping the cotton swab with the fabric sheet. Okay, there we go. And I was able to get up under here. Let me see if I can show you. See, it was a lot of dust up underneath this part that the handheld vacuum couldn't get. So what I was doing was pushing it forward and using the fabric sheet to push all that forward, and then I went back in. You probably saw me go back in and do another vacuum. And same thing for up in here. And you probably can't tell, you see that piece back in there is room up underneath, and up above. So I was going in there with my cotton swab, cleaning that as well, and taking my fabric sheet up in there. So yes, so I think she is looking good. I cleaned her all around. I cleaned her on top and everything as well. But let me turn her this way, and here we are. I have cleaned her here, all up in here, wiped her down and everything. So wow, that wasn't bad. I'll probably do this more often. I'll probably do this more often. I'm not sure how frequently, it depends on what I'm making, but I can easily see doing it once a month at least. You'll have to let me know in the comments how often if you do this, how often you do it. I'm gonna see if I can go ahead, since this is apart, and do the knife and everything now as well. Let's see. With your machine before you place the order. Before you begin, unplug your machine. That is the first step. To change out the blade, the only tool you would need is a flathead screwdriver. If you have a magnetic screwdriver, that's even better, but I don't have one, so I'm using a regular one. Start by removing the front cover of your machine and lift the presser foot. This would give you a clear view of the feed dogs. Let's take a closer look at the blades now. Here, you got your upper knife and your lower knife. I have a Brother 1034d. Okay, so it was a good thing that I went ahead on and did this while the whole thing was apart, because once I took the knives out, it was all kind of lint behind the knives, and then I could really get down in here. And yeah, again, Q-tips to the rescue. So okay, let me go ahead and wrap this up and put all this back together. Well, all right, that wasn't so bad. It's a few days later, and when I tell you, my serger is running so much better. I can just feel it, hear it, running so much better. And yeah, I will leave a link to both of those videos down below. I definitely check them out. Do not be intimidated. Just make sure you kind of lay your all of your screws and everything in order, so you know you can put them back in the proper order and different things like that. But yeah, it's super easy, super easy. And I know I mentioned, I believe I might have mentioned that I would clean the serger probably once a month. But I'm thinking after I cleaned it and everything, and when I tell you Q-tips, you guys, and also the fabric sheets, yes. But I said initially I think I would do this once a month, but once I finished cleaning it and everything, and I looked at everything after, you know, it was cleaned and Q-tips and everything that was used, it hadn't been cleaned, deep cleaned, taken apart and cleaned like that in probably 3 years, and that's how it looked. So I'm thinking once a month is a bit too much, and I think maybe I could say once a year, but maybe twice a year. I don't know. I will mark my a reminder on my phone in 6 months to check, just take it apart and look at it again just to see what it's looking like. But I'm thinking once a year for the total take apart and everything, because every time I use my serger, I do clean it. That little hand vacuum I have, and then I take apart our Tenico, and you know, I do clean it all the time. So you know, that contributes it to not being as maybe dirty as I thought it was going to be, or filled with a lot of lint and fabric and everything, because I do clean my machine quite frequently, and I do oil it quite frequently as well. And so yeah, now so far as the knife, if once you watch her the video about replacing the knife blades, she suggested every 2 years. I can get with that. I can get with that. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in my phone as a reminder. Time to change your serger blades. So you all have to let me know down in the comments how often you clean your serger. Will you try taking it apart? Get your Q-tips or cotton swabs, whatever, your fabric sheets that's already been through the dryer and all of that. Give it a try. Let me know if you do try it. Okay, now we're gonna dive into this conversation about inspiration versus motivation versus execution. And so I do have quite a few notes here that I'm gonna be looking down. So yeah, first thing I want to say out of the gate, this is not a video where I'm bashing or talking about people who have a lot of patterns, be it commercial or indie, or who shop for patterns. Many people say patterns and fabric shopping is totally different from sewing. Yes, I understand all of that. I'm not talking about any of that, or people who buy a lot of fabric, because obviously, yeah, and you all have seen my pattern stash, so yeah, we're not talking about that. But what we are talking about is being inspired. Being inspired, being motivated, and execution are 3 different things. Let's set aside, you know, the thing about the patterns and all of that, although we know that buying of the patterns is part of that inspiration piece. But one thing I want to start out with is inspiration. We as creatives, when I say creatives, I'm talking about those of us, I'm talking from a sewist point of view here. So those of us who sew, you know, crafters, creatives, in that vein. It's easy to be inspired by so many people, so many different accounts on social media. And for me, actually, by the time you see this video, I did post about my upcycle, my first thrift with the intention of getting into upcycling, and my inspiration and people who motivated me and inspired me, right? And so you would have seen that video by now. If not, I'll make sure it pops up at the end of this video. But it's what I am finding, and we're only 3 months in. Well, it's April, so technically the 4th month. 4 months in of me not buying any new patterns. So I am not purchasing, if you saw my video at the beginning of the year, I am not purchasing any new commercial patterns or any new indie patterns. Yes, I am a brand ambassador where I might test and have access to new releases and things. That's totally separate. But so far as me purchasing, I will not do that. And part of that reason, as I stated before, is because, okay, I do the pattern and focus once a quarter. For those who are following me, Lady Dane over there is hanging on, because come Wednesday, make sure you're subscribed. There will be a sew along for Butterick 6333, which is the April subscriber pick. Stay tuned for Wednesday. We'll have a full review in the sew along for that. But I had started last year on a quarterly basis picking a commercial pattern company that I would focus on every quarter. And you all pick, I put up for vote on my community tab, 3 different patterns out of the stash, and you all vote on those. And so part of that, probably with me not really realizing it, was the start of me really wanting to, let's go through these patterns that's in my pattern stash. What do I like? What do I like to wear? What is it that, you know, I'm gravitating towards a lot? And I am wearing the Know Me. I made this for BHM Pattern Designers. I'll pop up a iCard here of what I'm wearing. Is made out of this. It's a knit top. It's a Know Me Beauty J'adore. I can't remember. It's a tunic that I modified into a top, but in a graffiti print. And so I tend to wear this top a lot. And so for me, I did a recent de-stash of fabrics as well as patterns. I've been really good with patterns apparently, because I only had, I think I want to say about 10 patterns that I de-stashed, not a lot. And so the rest that I have with the pattern and focus, I have been every quarter focusing on one pattern company. This quarter is Butterick, but focusing on the pattern company, picking a pattern at the stash. Let's make it. I'll give a review for sew along. I'll give a sew along. But I believe without me realizing it, it was a push to where I am now, where it's like, you know what? I am not buying any patterns. And one of the main reasons is, one, I have quite a few. But the other thing is, it's time to sew. It is time to sew. It's time to execute. That's the execution piece of this, of it all. So there are different avenues and vehicles that we use to save some of those things that we're inspired by. Obviously, you have Pinterest. I've shared my Pinterest board, my denim collection. You guys, I'm obsessed. But anyway, that's another conversation. Then also you are now able to save right in Instagram and categorize those. And so when you see different inspirations, and if you're like me, you're inspired by different creatives. I'm inspired by fashion influencers, other creatives where, and even creatives where, while I may not particularly, I'm drawn to their style, or I'm drawn to the thing that they made, or anything like that, is I'm drawn to their execution of the creativity of the vision. That's totally different. You could follow somebody where everything they make is not anything you would wear, nothing you would wear, nothing that you would buy, anything like that, but it's something about the execution behind what motivated them to then release what it is, the vision that they had. And so I get excited behind things like that when I see things like that. And of course, if it's somebody who made something, then I'm, you know, that elevates it several more levels, because I'm like, oh my gosh, you really went in on that, you know? So that is one of the ways that I get motivated and inspired. But like I said, the execution piece is a whole nother story. You can pin, you can save this look, that look all day long. A new pattern release, you go out, buy all the patterns. Side note, that new look sale that was going on at Hobby Lobby, you guys, I've been having fun kind of seeing what everybody been picking up. But can you believe I have not been, I don't feel like FOMO, like I missed out on anything at all. And so, but people have been picking up some fun patterns, and it's been fun looking at what everybody has been picking up. And I will say, although I am not buying any patterns, I am making a list of patterns that I see that are released that I'm thinking, I might want that. Again, come January 2025, if I still feel like I want the pattern, I will get it. But right now, it's just going into a note that I keep on my phone and say, you know what, we'll check this out later down the line if necessary. So what do we do with all of the pattern buying, all of the fabric buying? Some of it is just, some patterns are just keepsakes. Have no intention of ever making them, but maybe some of them are just keepsakes. You just want them. Maybe they're passed down from generation to generation. Maybe there's some vintage ones where you have no desire to make it, but you know what, you're gonna hang on to it just because it's for sentimental values. But for ones where you're inspired that, ooh, I want to try that look, that's where we need to get through, push past being just simply inspired. And then you're motivated. Your motivation, now you're motivated to get going. So what do? Maybe there's a certain tool or notion or machine that you think that you want or that you need. I have 2 table presses, right? Different things like that. Now you're motivated. Now you're starting to invest in the threads. Maybe it's a certain fabric that you did see, and you're just, now you're in that space, and you're ready to pick up different things that will help you get to the execution stage. But for whatever reason, you just stuck right there at, I'm just motivated. And what I'll do is, and I'm just talking like third person here, what I'll do is just keep seeing, hashtagging that pattern that people have been making, and people who've been posting about it in videos and all of that. I'll just keep watching them and see what they do, and just, you know, stay. Now you kind of sliding back into just simply being inspired. That motivation that you had because you started taking steps towards execution, you maybe moved too fast, maybe made some hasty decisions, but you still took some steps. But for whatever reason, you now, oh, now I'm inspired. It's something between that. You become inspired, you become motivated. Now it's time to execute, where you're in that between right there. And what that could be is, one, maybe you feel like you don't have the skill set or the knowledge to execute the thing. Even though you're inspired to, even though you got motivated, got the fabric, got the tools, got whatever it was that you needed, notions to get going, but that last push to actually execute, for whatever reason, you just can't get there. And that's okay. If now you've gotten inspired, you've gotten motivated, and you feel like you have this gap of knowledge that puts you into the execution stage, now it's time to invest in YouTube University, perhaps taking some sewing classes with somebody, maybe something like that, to help you with the thing that you feel that you are missing in order to execute what has inspired you and motivated you up into this point. So now maybe it's not so much the execution, maybe that's not knowing how to do a thing is not the part that's keeping you from the execution. Maybe it's just simply, you know what, you allow other things. Now granted, yeah, as a YouTuber, this is not what I do all day, every day. It's not my full-time job. It is one of many streams of income that I have. So no, it's not something I sit and do all day, every day, right? But there's life. You have family, you have children, you have job, you have other things going on where you feel like, oh, I can't, that execution. And those things are all very real. But consider if you are using other things outside of that execution phase as an excuse for not executing. Ooh, I don't have time. I need to clean the house. Ooh, I don't have time. I know, I'm going to start on this pattern over here because it's easier, you're familiar, and, maybe everybody's doing this one. So, squirrel, I'm going to do this. And, that's okay. That's part of the joy of being a creative and your own type of creative is having that limbleness where you can go from one thing to the other. However, let's get back to the point of you were inspired by X, Y, and Z. You were motivated. You went and got all of the things to execute, but you refused to execute. Let's now step out of being inspired by and motivated by 1,000 different things we've pinned on our Pinterest board, saved on our Instagram, and start executing. Start executing. And that is one of the things, many things I am learning through these first 4 months of buying no patterns, is that I feel like that execution piece is starting to really flow. It's starting to flow because I'm not so much focused on, I have the inspiration, I have the motivation, but I'm not focused on the distraction of buying new patterns all the time or focusing on what's new coming out. But I'm circling back to my Pinterest. I'm circling back to my saves and Instagram. I'm circling back to those things that inspired me and motivated me. And now I'm feeling like I'm moving into that execution stage. And you guys are gonna go on the ride with me. Maybe some people won't be interested in seeing all of that. But yes, I have been obsessed with watching different DIYers, upcyclers who sew, and also different fashion influencers and different things, and figuring out and looking like, okay, I love that, but how do I make that mine? Instead of always focusing on the new, it's like, okay, let me go back to what I was inspired by and motivated to do. And now it's time to execute, because I've kind of let some of the other things go and focusing on what's okay. Here I am. It's time to get down. It's time to dig in. So I had to go grab this, because one of the things in talking about moving past the inspiration, the motivation, and then the execution piece, like many of you, I had purchased the Mimi G book, Make It Yours with Mimi G, and I recently, within I think I just got these a couple weeks ago, I went ahead and sent to print, because this came out in what, last year? No, was it November? No, I'm sorry, June, because I got it here as a pre-order. So back in June 2023 was the pre-order. So I think it was sometime in the summer, I think last year we got it, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, I just a couple weeks ago decided to send several of the patterns to print. I went ahead and sent the jacket, the pants, the wrap dress, the shirt, button-up shirt, and the v-neck camisole, and the fitted skirt. And I bought that book, and I remember talking about it at the time, is that I was motivated, I was inspired by all of the different looks that Mimi G created and how she shared how to hack them. And so my inspiration pushed me into the lane of motivation, so I went ahead and purchased the book. But there was no execution. I just had the book, knowing that, you know, one day I'm gonna dive in. I'm gonna dive on in. And so because I remember at the time, Mimi G then said we can send emails to her for those who purchase to get the individual patterns, because the patterns come in the book, but you would have to trace them off. And so that's what I did. And so when I was going through the book, I was like, you know what? Stop just looking. It's time to execute. So I went ahead on and sent those to print, and I will be doing those throughout the rest of this year, and also figuring out what kind of hacks. I want to do a few of the hacks that she shared in the book, obviously, but what other things do I think I want to come up with based on different things that I have pinned, I have saved, and that I want to execute. You all know I am obsessed with denim. Here's my denim right here. And so, and I just picked up some more denim at the when I thrifted for upcycling. And so yeah, that's where I am right now, and I wonder if anybody can relate. Going back to where we started from in the beginning, it's time to, as my note as I have down here is, get out of your head. Get out of your head. Know that it's okay to make mistakes. Maybe you've never made jeans before. Maybe you never made a coat, a jacket before. Maybe you never done buttons or whatever, or use that function on your machine before. It's okay. It's time to execute. It's time to make some mistakes. It's time, because the mistakes in different things is the experience that we need to continue to help us grow. Because as we're growing, at least for me, I'm just going to speak for me. I might make mistakes along the way. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. But the mistakes show me, oh, okay, let me go to YouTube University and see somebody has done this, or somebody have shown this somewhere, short form, long form video, and I'm gonna try it again. And so that's what, you know, I think that's the difference. And this is what I have learned already. Here we are in April so far in this year of not buying any new patterns, but executing in this sewing space and getting out of my head some ideas. Now, granted, obviously, everybody's not going to be excited about everything I'm excited about, and that's perfectly okay. But I'm excited about it. And so, because I'm excited about it, I want to do it if for nobody but for me, right? And so, that's what I want to leave you with today. You all let me know your thoughts, your comments, any, you know, what are your thoughts? Have, you know, has this been mulling around maybe in your mind? Have you been thinking about this? What stage do you feel that you are in the most? Because we're all forever inspired. We're all forever motivated. And at certain stages and seasons of life, we're constantly executing. But where do you feel in this moment that you are in your sewing journey, in your sewing process, in your knowledge base, in different things of that nature? So definitely let me know. Leave a comment down in the comment section. Let me know if you clean your serger, and let me know how it turned out for you. Those videos are primo, very, very good videos. So, all right, everybody, I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. Stay tuned for Wednesday. That's when you'll have the sew along for Butterick 6333 and my review of the pattern. All right, everybody, have a blessed one, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.